Hey guys, sorry about the technical difficulties there. We'll have part one before this. We've already talked about the Galaxy S8 and the 8 Plus, and is a 6-inch phone too big, but with the bezels, it's going to be a small phone. But we wanted to jump in with Joshua here, moving on to our next topics. We talked a little bit about drones flying for UPS. Josh, what do you got next for us?
Sure. And I have the GeForce 1080 Ti is going to be announced here. And did I share?
You're sharing.
I'm sharing your screen. Oops. Sorry. There we go. There we go. I fixed it. All right. So it is almost time. Hashtag Ultimate GeForce. So it's going to be the 1080 Ti, 5 days, 6 hours, 17 minutes, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 seconds. So the GTX 1080 is their flagship consumer grade card, and that has 8 gigs of DDR5X memory and crushes 4K. So I'm assuming that it may have 12 gigs of memory, just like the Titan XP. We'll have to see, but that's just a little teaser they just threw up there a couple days ago and was like, you know, hey, we're putting out new stuff, so have fun with that. So it'll be exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're continuing to push it because I think they're getting a little worried about the competition and what they're putting out. And so I love the competition between them right now. It's really kind of pushing things forward. That's been fun to see because there's not been tons of crazy competition in the last couple of years. So
yeah, the RX 480 though is basically just like a mid grade card, 200 or 250 for basically 1080/1440 gaming. So it doesn't really crush 4K. So hopefully with their Vega GPU offerings this summer, hopefully AMD is going to crush it price wise to performance. So really give them a run for their money. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So speaking of new mobile devices that are running at MWC here, we have a pretty sweet look at what the LG G6 is. And it's supposed to be right around the corner here. They're saying that it should be announced and released March 10th and then shipping later to the US. So it'll be coming March 10th in South Korea and other places, and then later come to the US. So they're not 100% positive yet, but this is a 5.7-inch screen into about the same space as the 5.3. So here is the G5. These are renders of the G5 and the G6. As you can see, you get an extra 0.4 inches of that, and it's in the same exact body, basically. So they're still trying to figure out all of the specs and what is right and what isn't. But they're saying that some variants will have wireless charging, and it's going to be water and dust resistant, which the V20 and LG G5 were not. So this is looking really promising. I mean, it's not going to have the newest, chip from Snapdragon. It'll still have the A21, but it's not going to be a huge noticeable difference in that. And the cameras are going to be killer with these dual cameras. So, I mean, if they can fit the V20 screen in a smaller body like this, and here it is, you can see the V20 has got a considerable height difference there. But the V20 obviously has a second screen, but the bezels are a lot bigger with the top and bottom there on the V20. So I'm liking the look of this. I mean, as far as it might not be for everyone, but it's looking pretty sleek. There's like metal versions. And that's the thing we don't know quite yet, is that I've seen versions that are like a glass back. And I think those are the wireless charging ones. And then there's some ones that have a metal back. So who knows what we're going to get, if it's like only in certain markets that they'll pump out the wireless charging ones. Maybe that'll be the US kind of thing. Or if the US is going to get the non-wireless charging and get the metal backed one. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, it's LG's next major phone, so they better knock it out of the park. That's all I got to say. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad that it doesn't look like they're doing modularity. It's just going to be a slab, and looks like has a little better specs. Hopefully the cameras are top performers, and battery life is good, and all the main core points of a good phone. Hopefully it really does well for them. So the DAC is a good improvement. Hopefully that keeps the people who have nice headphones on board, and everybody's got to have dust and water resistance nowadays. If you don't, it's like, why buy? LG V20 RIP 2017.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, we'll see, and that'll be
interesting antenna band choice.
that'll be the thing that's going to be interesting to see. Like, if we're getting this same body of the V20, same or better camera with an A21, the nice thing will be is that a lot of people have been saying, is the V20 going to go down in price? And I think that'll be the biggest thing, is that V20 is going to be roughly just as good, but you lose waterproofing, the water resistance, and you lose a couple of things about the new features of the chipset, obviously. So I think it'll be compelling to kind of a choice whether or not you want that second screen and a couple other things with that. So I'm excited. Yeah, Chad, the V20 is my favorite phone from this past year for sure. The Note 7 is obviously great, but that had a debacle. So we'll see what Samsung and LG is really going to be a huge duking it out. I mean, the HTC U Ultra, that'll be another contender here, but I'm not really thinking they're going to put much past LG or Samsung in this market.
No headphone jack, U Ultra. How could you?
Yeah, that's another bummer. And Samsung is still keeping the jack as far as we can see. And then the LG G6 is going to have that quad DAC, so they're kind of going the other end of the spectrum, saying we want you to have good audio. So good insights. I mean, I'm excited to see it, and overall, it's going to be a fun year, I think, 2017 for mobile here. But Josh, what do we got with some other MWC announcements from Microsoft, maybe?
Yeah. So everything that I've seen, this is from Tech Advisor. Surface Pro 5, may definitely. They had a couple of leaks arrive online. So I'll point to 2017 launch. Obviously, we're already there, but possibly at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. So they had an image from the French press hub that's called the Windows 10 feature Surface Pro 5-Z. And it basically just looks like a Surface Pro 4. There's the same ports on the side. And the second is more promising, and Juicy mentioned the device on LinkedIn. They had a product designer too at Microsoft Contractor that says, hey, we want you to be able to use multidisciplinary design approach for devices for the future. HoloLens, Surface Pro 5, and Xbox. So it's coming. It's just a matter of when. But pretty much people are thinking that they were thinking, hey, the Surface Phone might show up, but probably won't because they don't really have the software down yet. They just basically showed it off, over the holiday season with saying, hey, the Snapdragon processors can run Windows 10, so that'll be awesome. But yeah, so again, it's just more roomy, juicy rumors. It's gonna come here, so but that's
hoping Thunderbolt 3. Hoping the Thunderbolt 3.
Yes, Microsoft. I mean, they have a booth at Mobile World Congress, so hopefully they do, come out with actual products. So I'm pumped for it.
That's
awesome. Do you think they're going to do anything weird with the form factor? I mean, I can't imagine anything really being, that's going to. They can play around with the Surface Book a little bit, but not the Surface 5 Pro, right? I mean, it's pretty much.
Yeah, I think the design is
rounded out a little bit.
Yeah, I think the design is down. I mean, like between the 3 and the 4, they added higher resolution a little bit, and they added, the screen. They actually made the bezels smaller. Nice. So yeah, and they actually increased the touch capability between the pen, so it had higher levels of touch capability. So, I mean, as long as they're just improving the device, it's going to be a better better deal. And Kaby Lake's supposed to increase 5 to 10% as far as you know, your battery, your thermals, your power delivery, and processing speed and all that kind of stuff. So it should be a you know, just a better device. Hopefully, you know, still on par with the same price, not too much more, because it is a premium device, you know. So you're going to be spending $1,000 for the cheapest one, and 1,200 for the next one, and 1,500 for the next one. So so yeah, we'll see how it all works out. But yeah, like, you know, the Surface Pro 4 is still a really solid device. It's still running great for me. So is the Surface Book with performance base. So, you know, their devices are still really solid with the Silver Lake line. So you can't really go wrong right now. They're doing a lot of sales. They even had the Surface Pro 3 on sale for really cheap, like $500. So it was pretty wild a couple days ago. But yeah,
What do you think about them maybe putting some different competitors' chips in their Surface Books?
You know, if they put in Ryzen chips instead of Intel, that would be really, really interesting. But I don't think they will, because
much of a partnership there, I think.
Yeah, they've definitely been going with Intel, and they're rumored to do the 630 integrated graphics, where they did the 520 before. So you're getting a little bit better integrated graphics, which should help out, because they're planning on using their Surface line with the new VR headsets that are the cheaper ones from their partners and stuff like that. So I definitely think, yeah, they're going to stick with Intel, because AMD's Ryzen lineup, which is my next story, doesn't even have any cheap options as far as mobile, you know, stuff for mobile and stuff like that. So I think that's coming down the pipeline, and hopefully, you know, third parties like what is it, Asus and HP and Lenovo, I'm sure that they'll make some variants with AMD chips in there, and it actually have a good showing of competitors. So it'll be interesting, very interesting once it all boils down, that probably by Christmas, hopefully.
Yeah, Chad was saying he would love to see a 14-inch screen size option, just like a little bit bigger, to be able to hit some of those more quote-unquote pro markets that want to get some more work done on the go. I think that could hit a good market to really kind of be an edge in competition if they had two size variants there.
Yeah, as for the Surface Pro line, for sure. Yeah, I mean, well, they had the Surface 3, which was 10-inch, and then the Surface Pro, which was 12. You know, it's 12.1. So I mean, but they haven't made a refresh on the Surface 3. And that had an Intel Atom chip, so that was really underpowered, but still cool form factor, and you could still, you know, do word processing and web browsing and all that kind of stuff. So, so yeah, maybe they've got a Surface 4 or Surface 5 and a Surface Pro 5 to announce. Who knows?
Surface Pro 5 Plus XL
with rounded corners.
Yeah,
they come out and they have a you know, bleeding edges that are rounded edges, and you're like, whoa.
Comes with an extendable pen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Josh, speaking of those AMD partnerships, what kind of Ryzen information? It's getting real now. What's happening?
Oh my goodness. So the Ryzen has definitely arrived. We already have plenty of benchmarks from their event, which was just a couple of days ago. And so a lot of this is video, but I'll try and just read you through. AMD pulled no punches with their event. They came out with 3 new CPUs to fight the $1,000 competition, the $500 competition, and the $350 competition. And they just basically owned them. So yeah, so they have the 1800X, which went against the 6900K. The 1700X, which went up to 6800K, and the 1700, which took on the 7700K, and they won on pricing is the biggest thing on all of them. And basically, they basically beat them all in performance. So if not matched. So obviously all of these 3 are 8-core, 16-thread processors, and just differing gigahertz options. So they're all the 1800X is 4 gigahertz. The 1700X I think is 3.5 or 3.4, and then the 1700 is like 3.2 or 3.0. But yeah, so there's a bunch of videos out there already. So this is from PCGamer.com. And so yeah, they even set a world record for processor. They use liquid nitrogen. It was on Austin Evans' channel. They hit 5 gigahertz. So 8 core,
Nice.
5 gigahertz. So that was
We hit
pretty
5
awesome.
gigahertz.
Oh yeah,
Helium or nitrogen?
liquid nitrogen. I know liquid helium.
Liquid helium.
That's awesome. Yeah, Chad and Everything Tech, the V30, if they do the water resistance and keep the things that make the V20 great, like the IR blaster and the removable battery and the dual camera and setup and all those things, I think it just kind of differentiates itself enough from other phones to make it exciting. So that's fun for like the power users that want to get some creative work going with film and voice recording and etc. Jeremy, what do you got coming up here? Robots are on the rise, it sounds.
Well, not exactly. This particular story I found on the TechCrunch. Let me share it here. It might have been on originally from another source, but there is a project called DeepCoder that essentially builds programs using code that finds lying around the internet. So, I've done this. Any coder that's been out there goes to Stack Overflow and says, "Oh, how do I do authentication in .NET or PHP or whatever?" And you take a little snippet of code that somebody puts in the answer, and you modify it a little bit to your needs, and drop it in your code base, or you need to restart a service. Okay, boop, copy and paste into your Linux or terminal window. And there's just so many things that are done in that way, and this takes it to the extreme. So essentially, these group of coders got together and built this project that you basically say, "Hey, I want to do this problem," define it, and then it goes, finds the code, and then. So they actually won a couple programming competitions using this, and they're hoping to build it into a more complex project. But essentially, they were able to get it to build like an intrusion protection system just by using code off the internet without anything. They just said, "Here's kind of what we want," and gave it some parameters, and then it just goes out, find the snippets of code, and there. So they're tongue-in-cheek saying that now, thanks to the code on the internet, a robot can be as smart as a $180,000 coder. But there's still a lot more to do. Big project, it says it can't do big projects, but it can learn as it goes, and will get faster and faster as they train it more and get it to go. But still big projects with databases, and it's still not going to be able to do, but they're saying that it could easily help get projects started to give programmers a leg up, with the beginning areas of code. So I just thought it was an interesting story.
Yeah, can it help me learn how to code better? Because I'll take that.
Yeah, there you go. It might. I mean, if you can tell it, "Hey, how do I say hello world?" It'll go find you a snippet, and then you can take examples and do it yourself. But
that's fun. That's really cool. What do you see like kind of some of the best real world uses for this? Like, what do you think are some of the reasons people would want this?
Well, I mean, if you're a programmer and you're just trying to get something up and running fast, just being able to not have to go out and scour the internet for all these little snippets and just say, "Hey, look, I want a video encoder," or "I want to build my own social media website." It can go find plugins and snippets, and before you know it, you have a WordPress site with all the code you need in there, and it builds its own plugins. Who knows? But I can just see it as people who are already kind of in the coding world of complementing themselves and just automating the workflow better.
Yeah, that's legit. I mean, if they can figure out a way to kind of automate that out to that it has actually good quality, and obviously you might just have someone kind of checking some of that back end stuff to make sure there's not big loopholes or
definitely
there. But I mean, if you can get it off the ground running and power it up quickly, that'd be pretty sweet to see. But
yep.
Awesome. So more MWC coverage here is there's some other smaller companies that are really making moves here. We have
Huawei's huge.
Well, I mean, I'm saying, and they're huge in the past year and a half, but they haven't been huge, and that's the crazy thing. So here is this Huawei P10, and it's looking pretty sleek. I mean, it's pretty much like the iPhone 7 kind of back there, you know, with the metal and the rounded top and edges, and then sweet Samsung's thumb at the bottom there, and dual camera. And so what they've been doing with the Leica cameras and having one camera for depth and having it be a black and white sensor, and then another for your full spectrum color. And it helps with bokeh and some tracking and things like that. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're doing here. You can see some of the specs up there on the top of it. But overall, it looks really solid. You can see the textured buttons on the side there. It doesn't look like it's a curved display, so that'll make some people happy and some people sad. But the curved display is the big deal right now, apparently, for a lot of people. But yeah, this is looking pretty solid. I mean, Huawei has been crushing the game as far as like the more budget friendly type of phones that are can get out to more people kind of around the world. They haven't been doing a lot of stuff with like the Mate 9 or the P9 here in the United States. It comes so much later, so it's not as big of a deal, but in other markets, it's huge. So that's pretty cool to see. And then we also have just a bunch of other places. Obviously, G6, the HTC Uplay and U Ultra are showing off at MWC. With Samsung has a press conference, but it's not going to be for the S8 or the S8 Plus. They're actually not going to release it here. They're just going to talk about like their new tab lines and some other things, and then have their own thing. They don't want to be outshined or take any limelight from themselves, so they're going to have a separate unboxed or unpacked event for the S8. Here's the P10 again. And then, you know, Sony's going to throw in the ring again with their Xperia X8 or XA line. And ZTE, we're not 100% sure what they're doing here, but they might be throwing out some crazy stuff with VR and some other things. And then, like we talked about last week, the Moto G5 is going to get some more hands-on time here. And then kind of a wild card here is Alcatel they are working with BlackBerry. And so they might have a new device as well as this new, still unnamed BlackBerry Mercury code name. So they'll get more hands-on and some more information with specs on the Mercury, with then Nokia showing off more of their Nokia 6 and some of their other new phones there. So maybe we'll see the 3310 appear here. Who knows? We can only hope, right? But there's a lot of exciting things happening for mobile right now as far as phones and things like that. So it's going to be fun for the next couple days, you know, to March 3rd till they're really crushing all of these new phone announcements. I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Well, you know, you just need to pay attention to the 26 because Samsung's just going to be out the gate being like, whatever, we got it all down. Our batteries are the best now.
Well, like I said, that's only going to be like about their tabs and stuff like that. That's not going to be their S8. They're going to do that probably sometime beginning of March. And it's supposed to have like an April 20th or something like that release for the SA or 20. So it's going to be in April they'll release the S8 and the 8 Plus. So a little bit of different movement for them. It'll be fun to kind of see how they try to one up everybody. They're great with marketing. That's one of the things that Samsung does so well, is just pumping out the marketing. And you've seen it. They're recovering from the Note 7 still, but it's not really hurting their brand that much. Surprisingly, people are still buying S7s and S7 Edges. And so I think the S8 is just going to crush it. It's going to do great.
It's going to take a lot for me to get a Note 8.
It's
going to take
for
a
sure.
lot. You could say I've been burned.
Are they have they announced that they're going to make a Note 8?
I mean, they have to.
They did.
Right?
They don't. I mean, what if their S8 Plus is kind of the Note 8 play? I mean, maybe they just abandoned the Note line because it's tarnished.
Well, no, they asked one of the CEOs or one of the CFOs or something like about it, and they said they're continuing the Note line. Whether that's like a cheaper model that has still The stylus, people love the stylus. That's like a huge thing. And I never used it when I had the Note that much. I used it every once in a while. It's gotten a lot better now. It's a lot more useful, a lot of great features, and it just feels better. So we'll see kind of where they go from here. I want to see them still have the Note line and have that diversity. Obviously, they're going to have to get their crap together, but I think that it's not gone. And from what I've seen, they're going to keep it.
Here's what I want. I want Microsoft to make a Surface phone that you can use the Surface Pen with, and then I will forget Samsung's Note line forever.
Yeah, and if they do the actual Windows 10 on the phone and not like a crappy Windows Mobile version, you know, that'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I can just use. I mean, they already had Instagram and Facebook on there, but you know.
Yeah, Windows Mobile had a hard start to it. It didn't.
Windows Mobile took a while to get going.
For sure. But Jeremy, what do you got? So a little bit of humor coming at us at the end here. What do you got here?
Yeah, so I had found this a couple years back and found it again because they've been updating their YouTube channel, and it's a little service called the Jolly Roger Telephone Company, and basically what it does is, yeah, I mean, kind of. What it does is their robots talk to the telemarketers so that you don't have to. So you can either have your number forwarded through their service, and it'll automatically detect if it's a telemarketer like robot call, and it'll send them to the robots. And you have to go on here, jollyrogertelco.com, or look up Jolly Roger Telco on YouTube and listen to some of the recorded bantering back and forth with these robots. It's super hilarious, and there's so many people that you can just tell they're getting super frustrated by the technology. But essentially what it does is the guy, he records his voice and does essentially like built-in scripts, but there's a little bit of technology in the back end that it waits for somebody to stop talking. You know, sometimes it talks over them, but that's normal. And then it is a sequence of events that kind of plays on how long somebody has been talking or not talking. So if they talk for a long time and it seems like there's a break, they'll say, yeah. And then if it keeps going, then they'll be like, oh, hold on. Someone is trying to talk to me in the other room, but just 1 second. And then they'll come back and be like, look, I'm sorry. I just only heard about half of that. Can you repeat yourself? And so these people are repeating themselves like 5 or 6 times for 10 minutes long, you know, and then they eventually get frustrated. So if you listen to 1 or 2 of them, you'll see what I mean, but it's pretty comical. They have a couple male voices, like an older guy, and they have these funny names for them. A couple female voices that they have, and a couple younger guys. So they have the original Jolly Roger voice. They have Salty Sally, Whitey Whitebeard, Jolly Jenny, Whiskey Jack, Debbie Doldrums, Kim the Kraken, Bloody Billy, all these different robots that you can pay for a couple dollars a year. I think $6 to $36 for 1,000 calls, and you know, it's pretty reasonable. And you can have like your your Google Voice number automatically dial their service in your phone, and if it notices that it's a robot call, it'll pick up for you, so you don't have to. If it's a normal human that has a caller ID that you're used to or is in your whitelisted, it'll just let it through to your phone. So I thought it was pretty interesting. Even if you don't use the service, the YouTube videos are just pure gold. They're pretty funny, causing telemarketers wasting time, and it's great.
Using robots for good. Using robots for good. Well, that's awesome. Well, this has been some fun time. A little bit of technical difficulties, obviously, at the beginning there, but
that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, so we'll have a part 1 and a part 2, so you can look at both there here. But we got the S8, the G6, Ryzen, and 1080 Ti, among some other fun stuff. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Josh, what do you have tomorrow that's happening?
So if you are in the Clear Lake area of Texas, come visit me at the Microsoft store at the Baybrook Mall, and we're going to talk tech and YouTube, my YouTube game, and gaming with the Surface Pro 4 and Surface Book. If you'd like to know how to get started with YouTube If you'd like to know what camera gear to buy, if you'd like to know which Surface would be best for you, I can help you out with all of that stuff. So it's actually going to be at 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And but I'm going to be there around 6:30 to set up. So you're welcome to come then too. But officially we'll start at 7. Do a little presentation for y'all, and then hopefully we'll do a little gaming. So it should be fun. And I'm definitely going to come out with a video on my channel, youtube.com/Joshua14. So check it out there if you can't make it, and should be a good time. So
that's awesome. Jeremy, you got some stuff in the pipeline for us here?
Yeah, some business tech tips and things of how to streamline your business to be more productive. Coming on our OmniTech Pro channel here soon, and you can find us on omnitechpro.com.
Yeah, well, awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I have links for the event and both of their channels down below, and as well as social media and other things. Guys, we appreciate all the likes and comments on the videos, and it really helps out. If you have any more questions or things you want to ask, feel free when this is processed to leave some of those questions down below. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, exactly, comments. We appreciate it. It means a lot to us, but you have a wonderful day. But as always, keep it classy.